representing the brothers says he is now optimistic about the Los Angeles DA reviewing some of the evidence in this case. The question is not whether or not these two brothers killed their parents back in 1989 in that Beverly Hills mansion. They have admitted to doing so. So the question is, should they be serving this life sentence? Their attorney does not think so, and it's why he's been pushing for that conviction to be vacated, and it's why he's been pushing for a review of this evidence. But it comes in the middle of renewed attention to this case thanks to social media, thanks to documentaries and the new Netflix docudrama, and even the district attorney here in Los Angeles, George Gascon, saying that this is part of the reason why we're talking about this case right now. Take a listen to what he said.
The reason why we have become more public is because after the documentary, we began to get, many requests from media and others about where was the case. The case is actually scheduled for a hearing on November 29th, but for the documentary, quite frankly, we probably would not be talking at this point. We may be talking later, but that certainly has increased the attention by the public, and that's what we're being public about where we are.
And the sexual abuse allegations are also back in the spotlight, and it is important because this is the central argument for the defense here. The defense says these brothers killed their parents because they were sexually abused by their father. So part of that new evidence, they say, essentially backs up this argument. One of the pieces of evidence is a letter that Eric, one of the brothers, wrote to a cousin detailing that sexual abuse before the murders. The other part of the evidence here is testimony from a member of the music band Menudo, who says that he too was sexually abused by the brothers' father, Jose Menendez. And so the district attorney, who is now going through a re-election campaign, says he's reviewing all of this evidence and will eventually make a decision on what is appropriate in this case. The next hearing is scheduled for November 29th, but one of the things that both the defense team and the district attorney agree on is that essentially what they've said is that if this case were to happen today, sexual abuse would have been seen very differently. Camila Bernal, CNN, Los Angeles.
Thanks for tuning back into Crime Time Podcast. Do me that solid and subscribe, hit the buttons. But more importantly, I want to hear from everyone in the comments section below. It feels like it's been Menendez mania lately. For real, like, am I the only one been seeing all kinds of Menendez stuff coming across the timeline in the news? Netflix obviously just dropped the documentary as well as a series about the Menendez brothers case, and I feel like I saw something else recently being released. I could be wrong, but nonetheless, there's so much talk about the Menendez case, and it is a very long spanning case all the way back. 89 was when the murders occurred, but court didn't come around fully, the trials and everything, until the 90s. The two trials, one deadlocked with a hung jury, and then the second time around they were convicted and sentenced to life without parole. Hell, I remember even back in the 90s, let me know if anyone else remembers this, when Cable Guy came out, they had clips in the movie where there was a case going on at the same time, probably when the movie was being filmed. The Menendez trial was going on, of a case that was definitely like satirical of the Menendez case, and Ben Stiller played the role of one of the brothers, and they even had a similar version of the 911 call and all that being played on like mock court footage in the movie. It was crazy, and I gotta say, I could see the resemblance why that came to mind. Whoever decided to put that in the film with Ben Stiller, the jawline, the face, everything, like I see the resemblance strong. Comment if you agree with that. But you hear their report there that I just played, and something that I was very unaware of as I was, became more intrigued with this case. Like, I don't know, everyone let me know, your gut instinct, what you have thought about this case, if you were watching everything play out back then, or you just researched it at some time, or you watched documentaries, whatever, if you felt their stories were true or not, or just what you feel, period, or if you're on the fence, or if your mind has been changing as of late, comment and let me know. My girl was, telling me this recently when I was saying, what's up with all this Menendez mania? She was saying something that like there's a Innocence Project movement going on or something like that for the case to be reheard, which I don't think Innocence Project is exactly the right word, as that's more typically for people that are just wrongfully accused sitting in prison, which we've seen that happen many, many times. But with the Menendez case, as you've heard, there's a court date on November 29th. And I'm definitely, again, guys, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned and all that. We'll be bringing updates on this after that court date and any other news that breaks. I was totally unaware of where exactly this all started and what got the ball rolling on the case wanting to be re-examined, and the court actually hearing this out was this documentary. As you heard them in this report that I played mention, a member of Menudo, which if you've watched the Netflix stuff, the father was involved in the music industry, Jose Menendez. And you heard it correctly. One of the members of the band Menudo, group Menudo band, whatever you want to call them, which Ricky Martin was a member of, went on the record and got an official affidavit signed, sealed, stamped, whatever, notarized, saying that Jose Menendez actually abused him when he was 14 years old.
Jose Menendez and his wife Kitty. They were shot 8 times at close range.
The infamous Menendez brothers.
The brutal murder of their own parents. These Puerto Rican children are Latin America's stardom.
I thought that there was some sort of connection. Jose Menendez was obsessed with the band Mania.
It's time for the world to know the truth. This is the testimony that Eric and Lyle needed when they were sentenced to life. Are you ready to tell all the details? Because they're very shocking.
Yes.
He is the key to getting action even after all these decades.
I know what he did to me in his house.
I knew so much about the family history and the inner workings of this family. So at the time, I had a book contract, and I started doing routine interviews with anybody connected to Jose and Kitty Menendez.
Like you said, he was a charming guy.
He was. He turned things around that you'd have to end up believing him. He's as black as white, you know what I mean?
One of the people I talked to was John Peduto, who had been Jose's personal assistant at Hertz Rent-A-Car and RCA Records.
Did you ever talk to those people over at RCA Records?
Some of them I've spoken to.
You know, his name came up. This guy, the manager of Menudo, that he was associated with at the time.
Every call I had with John Peduto, he would bring up at some point that Jose Menendez was obsessed with the band Menudo and the singer Ricky Martin, a member of Menudo. I started thinking to myself, why does he keep mentioning that Jose was obsessed with Menudo? What's that about?
Guess what they had him up for? As the manager of Menudo.
I'm not sure.
They had him up for abusing one of the boys.
He was up for abusing one of the members of Menudo.
Yes, sexually, by the way.
Oh, no.
And I found out that Menudo had a very unusual story.
So that was from 2023. That's a Peacock documentary, Menendez and Menudo, which is what got this whole process started. And I have not watched that. Comment and let me know if you have. That's what had the Menendez brothers attorneys file, for new court proceedings, which, as we now know, has been granted again November 29th. And you see what they're saying. No one's saying if they're innocent or didn't commit the crimes. If you paid attention to the case at all, followed it at all, you know that they admitted that they did. And that was even real shady, the way that all went with the doctor and him trying to blackmail them for money and all that. But to what degree should they be held accountable for the murders? Do you know what I mean? Is this life without a possibility of parole sentence? Granted, should that sentence stick? As how long have they been in now? Since 1990. So what? 2010, 20, 24. So what? 34 years they've been locked up. And, if the court comes to the determination to rehear the case or change the sentence or what exactly will happen, there is a possibility that they could indeed walk, because of sentencing guidelines. You know what I mean? If the degree of the murder conviction is changed, they could very well walk free. That really seems to be a very real possibility to me. And something, that you heard in the initial report is, by today's standards, okay, this case went on a long, long time ago. The sick, disturbing truth about a lot of evil PDOs and pervs out there who go around victimizing, innocent people and kids. It's just sickening. It turns my stomach. Many of us have went through it in our own life and know about it all too well. That is something that is way more out in the open nowadays, where way back then it was, it was a different story, I guess we could say. And if you watch the Netflix series, the different documentaries, whatever the case may be, there was a lot of people that, felt that whole story was cooked up and made up, and that it basically just flat out calling it BS. But this Menudo member going on the record, this is new evidence on the case. It changes everything, in my opinion. Personally, I think. And back to what I was saying, that's something that the court wants to look at, is if this case was heard in current day now, by the standards of society and how they recognize abuse and what it does to an individual's mind and everything like that. They want to take all of that into account. And, if this is indeed true, that this father was a sick creep demon violating his own children, I mean, can you imagine what that can do to one's mind? And not to mention also the physical abuse that they endured, which is something a lot of us in our lives may have went through as well. And, I'm really feeling more and more like we might see, the result of the sentence changed. Think about it. Again, things are so different nowadays, what's recognized psychologically and whatnot. And again, then the affidavit signed by the Menudo member and some of this other stuff, which again, I haven't seen that Peacock documentary, Menendez and Menudo. If you have, please comment your thoughts about it all. And if the Menudo member will go on the record in court and testify, I'm really thinking once again that we could see something major happen in this case. So comment, share your thoughts across the board about it all. Stay tuned for updates. And again, just let me know what you think about all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, think about it, guys. This is something that went from a story that many thought that they were just lying about to being actual evidence out there to substantiate what they were saying about their father, but not just, to them, to another innocent child. It's creepy, it's scary, it makes my skin crawl, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the outcome of the case is. Thank you for watching, and I'm out of here. Peace.